All right, the watch list for Friday, February 24th. The SPY still hanging out near all-time highs. IWM sold off a little bit today, but a little bit of a bottoming tail. So really, basically, the market's holding up very well, which means we can go right into our watch list for tomorrow. MBOT, this looks a little bit weird. A lot of people would say, why would you call this long? But from the gap up, it popped all the way to 10, and now it's retraced. Look at it on 15-minute candles here. So, you had this gap up, huge move. Had a great trade in it that day, and then today just kind of grinded lower again. This is a good candidate for a decent short-term percentage move with a proper setup. So as a day trader, I want to have this on watch. I'm not expecting this to go back to 10 tomorrow. I have no idea what it's going to do, but it gives me a proper setup. I might be able to get a 20, 30, 40 cent move in a very short period of time on the long side if it sets up right. And you know what? And that's a nice percentage gain. So we'll see. It definitely goes on watch. WB, I've got two that got slammed pretty good today on the watch list. At least I think I have two. Yeah, I've got two. WB is one of them. A lot of times the very next day you can catch a nice bounce. So that's all. It's just on watch for a potential bounce. Remember, I don't hold overnight. Looking to make some money tomorrow. ZSAN had the gap up, popped, and then closed at its lows. Then buyers came in, but you'd still kind of, when it looked like this, you'd still kind of expect this thing to roll back over. And then boom, this thing went nuts to the upside and held on for a few days and finally rolled back over and got into this zone between the 8 and the 20 day on the daily. Much lower volume. This is one of my favorite setups going into Friday for a potential bounce. PSIX, a little bit similar. Had a big pop, and now you're lower like 4 days or whatever, declining volume. Want to watch that one for a turn back up. TOPS, the only reason this is on watch is because I started watching it after it looked like this, after the 2 red days, and then 3, and then 4, and it's basically retraced completely. It does have support in this area. But I'm not very bullish on this one. It didn't bounce today, so I put it on bounce watch again for tomorrow. You never know. Maybe it gives us a good setup, but I'm not in love with that chart. Whenever they round trip like that, they become much less interesting to me. SINA, much like WB, huge candle to the downside today. A lot of times you can get a nice bounce the next day. Again, my entry is never arbitrary. This is going to have to meet very specific parameters before I'll trade it, so keep that in mind. BLPH had a really nice, remember the other day I had this on watch because it popped and then was flagging. Well, then it ended up gapping and running, and now you've got a couple red days on declining volume back into the 8 day, kind of retesting this breakout area right here. So this one might be willing to turn back up for us tomorrow. We're going to keep it on watch. CUR, this one is really kind of in the middle. Yeah, this big pop here. And if you look at it, it's really kind of in the middle of the range of this big day, right? It's kind of getting lower highs, but also higher lows. So to me, it's worth having on watch. NVFY, very strong move today. Now, it's got 3 green days in a row, although yesterday was an inside day. Really big volume. So, if you look back here, it had big volume, had a really nice follow through. Maybe this one continues tomorrow. If you look at it on 15s, you did have like maybe 2 or 3 hours that it flagged in the afternoon after the big pop. So that might be enough of a consolidation for it to head higher on Friday. We'll see. And then lastly, I have JAGX, which had this pop here and then a pop here. So you kind of have what looked like maybe a double top, but it's holding up pretty well. And the moving averages are kind of catching up. I like it over this 2-day high. 112 yesterday, 112. So up over 112. This might come up and retake out, these highs here, which were 124, 124. So I like this over 112, knowing that 125 is almost kind of blue skies. So in my notes, I'm putting 113, 125. So I know like a couple catalysts just above. All right, so that's my list for Friday. Hopefully we'll find some gappers in the morning as well. And that's it. I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see everybody on Friday.